for Freeman, and it's incomplete. Or did he make the catch at the 15? Yeah. What are they going to rule it? He caught it? Touchdown! He did what?
In the end zone, it is caught for the win! Richard Rodgers with a walk-off touchdown. Total disbelief at Ford Field.
Rushes on, has time. Looking, throws, middle, got it there! Breaking free to the 50. He may go all the way to the 20 down the right side. And there's Randall Cobb to the 5, to the end zone, to the touchdown. Oh my goodness!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Green and Golden Boys podcast, the podcast for Packer fans living inside enemy territory. I'm Charles, and with me as always is Marcus.
Hey everybody.
And Marcus, for all of our listeners that listened to our rant after we lost to the Colts in overtime in a very disappointing fashion, I can say that we are not quite as upset, or I should say not quite as crazy, as the several people that sent NVS death threats after the loss.
What?
Via Twitter. Yep. MVS put out a statement the other day saying, come on, guys, it's just football. I know my team's got my back. I know Aaron's got my back. But come on, death threats? And yeah, so for as crazy as we might have sounded, at least we're not insane.
That's insane. Let me say this to people. I mean, not that there's those people who are listening to this podcast, but if by some chance somebody who is listening to this show has the balls to send a death threat to a football player over a dropped pass or a fumble, like, you seriously get some help, because you're literally insane. The fact that you would, that is really frustrating and saddens me a lot, especially because it had to have been coming from a Packers fan. I don't understand the mentality. You know, we were obviously sad and angry and emotional, but not to the point of ever, you know, threatening somebody's life. That is absolutely garbage, and you need to get the hell out of here with that stuff.
Yeah, it is terrible. I will say that I got as far as throwing my remote against the back of the chair, and I haven't done that in years. So it was a emotional game, but yeah, people are insane. But let's talk to the sane people. Obviously, that was a very awesome. Couldn't have started the game. Well, I guess we turned the ball over right away. Yeah. But as the first half as a whole, you know, you really couldn't have asked for anything more. So I just want to focus on that. I know last episode you were trying to talk me off the ledge and say, hey, let's look at some of the positives. I think there were a lot of positives, even in that second half, which is odd to say. But it was really great to see, you know, the Packers offensively, you know, especially that first drive, even before that first turnover, move the ball efficiently and move the ball, you know, to Old Faithful, Devontae Adams, but then to MVS. You know, Aaron Jones was running it well. It was just really great to see a really balanced, you know, attack. And I wasn't surprised when we were up 28-14 at the end of the half, even with the turnovers that we had, just based on how efficiently and effectively we were moving the ball.
Yeah, to your point, it was nice to see that. Aaron Rodgers didn't seem overly reliant on Devontae Adams like he did at the end of the game. We were, you know, he was spreading it out. We were being efficient, running and passing, good balance, putting up 28 points even with a couple of turnovers in the first half. So it just comes down to show you, though, I think, how important it is to sustain and stack success, not only week by week, game over game, but quarter over quarter, half over half. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know what it is with this team. I don't know if it's a complacency issue, if they thought, hey, we're up 28, you know, on the best defense in the NFL in one half, and then they just lose their juice, or if it's a coaching issue and we didn't make any of the adjustments we needed to, or if the Colts coaching was so much better and they were able to figure us out completely in that second half. I'm not sure what the answer is, but you know, positively, it was good to see how efficiently the offense was humming in the first half, and the defense as well. I mean, we talked about it last week or our last episode. You know, guys were flying around the ball, making strong tackles on first or second contact. not giving up any unnecessary yardage, making plays on balls. I mean, the defense looked great too, but it's hard for a defense to sustain that throughout a full game, especially when your offense is going to have 2 or 3 consecutive 3-and-outs. I mean, if the offense can't get a first down, in the third quarter of the game, I don't know how your defense is supposed to just stay out there essentially the entire third quarter and most of the second half without giving up some yards, because that's a tall order for them. And I think we were maybe overly critical of the defense last week, but I think a lot of that lies with the offense and not being able to sustain anything, at the beginning of that second and most of the second half.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting too that our defense for the first time was pretty healthy, right? Kamal Martin got in there. I noticed in the first half the packages that he was lined up at, we were doing a little bit better stopping the run. Even that first drive of the second half, when Kamal Martin got back in, it looked like we were able to contain their running backs a bit better. But also having both Kevin King and Jair Alexander healthy, I think made the Colts a more predictable team to defend, and they didn't they weren't challenging the Josh Jacksons of the world. So I think for the first time in a long time, I think I heard since basically week 4, we had our starting D out there, and that was really great to see. Again, you mentioned it's hard for a defense to respond when you can't get a first down. Those 2 back-to-back 3-and-outs that really I think was the put all the loss on those 2 3-and-outs, right? The defense didn't respond after that, but what they did do is they responded with a turnover after we gave up the ball right away in the first half. So even though, again, focusing on the second half, we can be disappointed across the board. In the first half, we did see some things defensively, to your point, that we might not have seen just a couple weeks ago. And whether that's, Patton just having it more dialed in, kind of the defense, rallying to the cry of Matt LaFleur saying, "Hey, we got to get off the field." They looked like a team as a whole, but specifically our defense, a team that could contend in the postseason, specifically in that first half.
Yeah, and then I think we've seen in the past, if you're going to be a championship caliber team, you have to carry that momentum through an entire game. You can't take plays off. You can't take a series off. You have to be able to grind for 60 minutes every single week, and especially when we get into the playoffs, because good teams are going to expose you if you're not able to do that. And we saw that on Sunday, I think.
Yep, I think to now focus and get my pissed off hat on again. Now, kind of switching over to that second half where we didn't, like you said, we didn't back it up. I know I jinxed us, and I'm the reason why we lost. No, in halftime, I'm like, we got this, right? Aaron Rodgers is good for another touchdown, points of some sort or whatever. I mean, I felt really good, and to your point, I think if our offense or defense felt an ounce of that in halftime, that probably contributed to us, not being able to pull it off in the second half. But again, in the name of trying to stay positive, what I will say, ignore the rest of the second half. When we needed it, we had a clutch couple of plays. Remember, to tie the game up, we got pinned back. I think it was inside our 10, maybe inside our 15. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a bad spot, but whatever. We made a couple bad, first down, I think it was first and second, might have been incomplete. But then what was that, 45-yard bomb to end MVS.
In triple coverage, essentially?
In triple coverage. And I read a headline here in Minnesota, basically saying Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers rallied in the fourth quarter when they were needed, right? Prime, big time quarterbacks, whereas the guys like Kirk Cousins, wasn't able to do that. They weren't able to make that play. Now the Packers ultimately lost, but to win tough games, to win games you're not supposed to win playoff games, you got to be able to make that, the Aaron Rodgers type plays. And it was really good to see, even though we lost, and even though there were so many disappointing things throughout the game, it was really great to see when it really mattered. Aaron Rodgers was still Aaron Rodgers, mm-hmm. and he put us in a position to win the game, not just tie it and play into overtime. But I mean, we were on the verge of a 90-yard touchdown drive, ended up being an 80-yard, field goal drive to end the game. And I think it might have ended in a touchdown if we wouldn't have done that weird hard count to end.
Yeah.
To end waste 35 seconds. But anyway, I guess I want your reaction. Like, doesn't that make you still feel pretty good? Like, hey, we were there. Aaron Rodgers made an unbelievable play. MVS made an unbelievable play to be able to even get us in the position that we were at.
Yeah, for sure. And, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. When Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback, anything's possible. You've always got a chance. And, he showed us again last Sunday why he's one of the best. I mean, being clutch with that throw and that play to get us into a position not only to put up 3 points, but to score before the end of the half. Pardon me. Was great to see. And that again kind of is a little bit frustrating. I know it's the 2-minute offense. You can't run that and sustain that throughout an entire quarter or a half. But it's just makes those 3 and outs and the inability to even get a yard or two for 7-8 straight plays. That just makes it that much more frustrating because the ability's there, that they can do it. And again, I don't know if it comes down to play calls or execution or what it is or just a decision making by Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know.
To me, it feels like whenever we put ourselves in those positions, it just always feels like we're trying to do too much. Like, those 3rd and 1s that we can't convert or whatever it is. It's just like, I feel like there's like a toughness aspect to it, or like we're getting ahead of ourselves. Right. And I think, and it's kind of been a theme throughout the season for me, if you can get ahead of the chains on first down and like guarantee yourself those 4 yards, to me, it's worth passing up on some of those long shot daggers. Right. Yeah. On those specific 3 and outs, it just felt like we were trying to get too much and get the touchdown back, or the first possession the defense gave up in the second half, gave up a field goal. And it felt like we wanted it all back right away. And all we need to do is take 6 minutes off the clock, even if we freaking punt. I mean, we wouldn't have, it would probably have been a field goal situation in that point. But it just, if for me, first down, the first play on every possession should be, what do we need to do to get 4 yards?
Right.
And then the next 2 plays should be, what do we need to do to get 1 first down? And then from there, it just seems, historically, any game I watch, whether it's the Packers or whoever else, then everything else seems to come easier. It's just not allowing that 3 and out. And I know it sounds easy to say and cliche, and I'm sure it is easy to say, and obviously you want first downs, but it just doesn't feel like we're always focusing on that first down right away. It feels like we're focusing on something more, and I think sometimes we're reaching too much for that.
Right. I mean, the thing though is that it's a little bit more complicated than just trying to get just that play, just those 4 yards on first down, because you're trying to set up your offense for success later on, simultaneously trying to get those yards. You know what I mean? They may
Yep.
be trying to run the ball on 3 consecutive first downs and then have that long bomb to MVS because maybe the defense is going to play the run, in that situation, or, you're working on setting up a play further on in the game plan. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit more complicated than just trying to get those yards. I know that seems, like
For sure.
it's really simple, but I think that's probably what we're seeing is just not necessarily overcomplicating it, but also just every play working within the master game plan, and just trying to kind of find that balance between getting the yards on that play and then also setting up the offense for success later on in the game.
Yeah, and everything that we were doing in the first half would suggest that they should continue that game plan. It's just that when you get that first 3 and out, and now they come back with the touchdown on top of the field goal they already get, now it's like, to me, okay, now we have a comeback on our hands, right? We're still up by however many points at that point. I guess that would have been 4 points at that point. Almost not scrap the overall game plan, but like, what do we need to do to get this first down to end the momentum for now? Because essentially that second 3 and out was like, and there is your dagger. I know it was